Okay, I'm John Greuling. I'm President and CEO of the Will County Center for Economic Development. It is Monday, April 13th, and I give permission to use my likeness and my sounds in the documentary that the class is preparing.
Thank you.
All right,
Mr. Greuling, and I mean, you don't even have to feel like you have to look at that.
I'd rather not.
But what our class is trying to understand is why Joliet didn't go the way of Gary. We were big into industry through the 30s, 40s. The industry began declining. We had a real low point in the 70s and 80s. Why did we go a different way, and why are we doing okay now, relatively speaking?
Well, first of all, just to clarify, are we just talking about the city of Joliet?
Will County.
Okay.
Yeah, Will County.
Because, you know, the truth of the matter is, Joliet has struggled.
Downtown in particular, yeah.
Well, and even the sort of the economic environment, in terms of unemployment, you know, Joliet is still challenged. You know, right now the unemployment rate in Will County is just right at about 5%. And the unemployment rate in Joliet today is still 9%. The state is down to, I think it's about 5.5%. So in a lot of respects, Joliet is trending, continuing to trend like a Rust Belt community. But having said that, it is in the process of transforming itself. So if you look at our organization, the Center for Economic Development, we were formed in 1982, and that's when the unemployment rate in Joliet was 26.2%, and in '93 it went up to 26.5%. So if you look at that number and then you fast forward to the 1995 number, it's right at, what, 9%? And 20 years later, it still is at 9%. Now it's gone up a little bit. During the recession, it went as high as 14 or 14.5%. But in a lot of respects, it really hasn't reached what a lot of economists or economic developers would call sort of full employment or approximating full employment. There's a lot of reasons for that. Will County, on the other hand, has done very well, especially in the last 20 years, certainly since the CED was formed in 1982. You can literally track the economic vitality and sort of the rebirth of the county pretty much along the line of the history of the Center for Economic Development. And I'm going to give you this, and I can give you more copies, but there's a interesting calendar of events, a timeline, if you will, along the bottom of our annual report. And we put some version of this in every annual report we do because it demonstrates, you know, when the CED was formed, actually back in '81, it was created by a number of business people that, for the most part, had grown up in Will County, in Joliet, had, in a lot of respects, they were entrepreneurs, they were bankers, they were attorneys, they were furniture salesmen, and well known in the community. And you know, when the Great Recession of the late '70s and early '80s hit the Midwest, Joliet, like a Gary, Indiana, okay, like well, there's other Midwest cities, I'm trying to think, Detroit, Cincinnati, St. Louis, what local economies had been reliant on manufacturing, steel, energy, oil, automobile assembly. Most of that went south. A lot of it went overseas. Some of it still is coming back yet, but the reality is, you know, we saw unemployment rates in some estimates that haven't been seen anywhere, certainly in a community the size of Joliet, ever. I mean, 26.5% is, and if you look at the real number, it was probably closer to 35%, because the unemployment numbers don't always take into account people that have left the workforce. They're not even looking for work anymore. And certainly, I'm sure there were a lot of people that gave up back then.
So it's actually, it sounds like, let me just, sometimes it's easier when I can break